Claire never meant to find the grave. It was not part of a plan or a search. It happens the way the most dangerous moments always do in Outlander, quietly. The wind is calm, the land feels familiar, and yet something pulls her forward. One step, then another, until her eyes land on a weathered stone half buried by time. At first, it looks like just another grave. Another lost soul claimed by history. But then Claire reads the name, Julia, and in that instant, the world she knows shifts under her feet. This is not just shock. This is recognition. Claire understands immediately that this grave should not exist, at least not in the way it does. Julia is not a stranger pulled from an old story. Julia is connected to her life, her choices, and the fragile line between past and future. The grave feels like history reaching out to her, reminding her that time is not as distant as she once believed. Standing there, Claire feels the same cold fear she felt when she first realized the stones could move her through centuries. This is not curiosity anymore. This is a warning. Claire's mind races as she takes in the details. The date, the place, the silence around her. Every part of her training as a doctor tells her to stay calm, to think clearly. But this is not a body she can save. This is a future already written, carved deep into stone. And the hardest part is not fear. It is the question that follows her everywhere she goes through time. Could this have been prevented? Or worse, is this grave only here because of her? The weight of guilt presses in fast. Claire has always believed that knowledge gives her power, that knowing the future, even in pieces, allows her to change it. But this grave challenges that belief. It suggests that some events fight back when you try to stop them. That time does not simply bend. Sometimes it pushes harder. Julia's grave stands as proof that even love, courage, and sacrifice may not be enough to escape what is meant to happen. As Claire steps back, her breath shaky, one truth becomes clear. This moment is not about death. It is about choice. The grave is not just marking where Julia ended. It is marking where Claire must decide who she is willing to lose, what she is willing to change, and how much of herself she is willing to break to protect the people she loves. And as the wind moves through the grass, one haunting thought refuses to leave her mind. Finding the grave may have already set the future in motion, because once the shock fades, something far more dangerous takes its place: understanding. Claire does not just see a grave anymore. She sees a message meant only for her, buried in time and waiting to be found. After the first wave of fear passes, Claire's mind does what it has always done in moments of crisis. It starts connecting pieces. Julia's name is not random. It is not coincidence. Everything about the grave feels deliberate, from its location to the moment Claire discovers it. This is when the truth begins to sink in. Time did not hide this from her. Time guided her here. And that realization is far more terrifying than the grave itself. Julia's grave matters because it breaks one of the quiet rules Claire has lived by for years. Claire believes time is strong, but not cruel. That it follows patterns, not intentions. But this grave feels intentional. Like history speaking directly to her. It forces Claire to face a painful possibility she has avoided for a long time. That her presence in the past does not only save lives. Sometimes it creates losses that never should have existed. The name Julia pulls at something deep inside Claire. It is not just sorrow she feels. It is responsibility. Claire has carried the weight of knowledge across centuries, choosing when to speak and when to stay silent. She has altered events, healed people who should have died, and allowed others to face their fate when changing it felt too dangerous. But this grave suggests that one of those choices may have gone wrong. That somewhere, at some moment, Claire's actions shaped Julia's end. As a doctor, Claire is trained to look for causes. What led to this death? What signs were missed? What could have been done differently? But the grave offers no answers, only questions. And the hardest question of all is whether knowing this future gives Claire the right to try to change it, or if trying will only make things worse. Time has punished her before for interfering too much, and now it feels like time is daring her to do it again. There is also fear beneath the guilt. Real fear. Because if Julia's grave exists, it means someone else survived long enough to remember her, to bury her, to carve her name into stone. Which means this future is solid, not imagined. Claire knows how fragile moments are, how easily one choice can undo years of life. And yet, this future has already hardened into history. The grave becomes a symbol of limits, of the line Claire may not be able to cross anymore. It tells her that love does not always protect and knowledge does not always save. It tells her that time can be patient, waiting years just to show her the cost of her actions. And as Claire turns away from the stone, one truth follows her like a shadow. Understanding the meaning of Julia's grave may force her to face the one thing she fears most. That some people are lost not because of fate, but because of her. Claire has faced war, death, and impossible choices. But nothing prepares her for the quiet that follows her discovery. The grave does not chase her. It does not move. It simply exists. And that is what destroys her from the inside once she is alone. The weight of the moment finally settles. Claire tries to breathe to steady herself, but her body reacts before her mind can catch up. Her hands shake. Her chest feels tight. This is not fear of danger. This is fear of truth. The kind that changes how you see yourself forever. Julia's grave has forced Claire into a space where memory and guilt collide. And there is no escape from either. Claire has always carried loss with strength. She learned long ago how to survive grief by turning it into purpose. But this time, there is no patient to save, no wound to close, no battle to fight. There is only a name and a date. And the unbearable thought that she may be standing in the middle of a future she helped create. That thought breaks something in her. For the first time in a long while, Claire feels small in the face of time. Guilt creeps in slowly. Then all at once, Claire replays every decision she has made since stepping through the stones. Every moment she chose to act. Every moment she chose not to. She wonders which choice led here. Was it something she said? Someone she healed? A warning she ignored? Time travel taught Claire that even kindness can have sharp edges. And now she fears that one of those edges cut too deep. The fear that follows is even darker. Because guilt suggests the past can be understood. Fear suggests the future cannot be controlled. Claire begins to question whether knowing Julia's fate has already sealed it. That by seeing the grave, she has locked the path in place. This is the cruelest part of time travel. Awareness can become a trap. And Claire knows this better than anyone. In her silence, Claire confronts a truth she rarely allows herself to admit. She is tired. Tired of carrying centuries on her back. Tired of making choices that decide who lives and who dies. Julia's grave feels like the moment time finally pushes back, asking Claire if she truly believes she has the right to keep interfering. It is not anger she feels. It is doubt, and yet, beneath the fear and guilt, something else begins to rise: defiance. Claire has never been someone who accepts loss without a fight. Even when history says no, she has always searched for another path. The grave may mark an ending, but Claire cannot stop herself from wondering if endings can still be rewritten. If time left this message for a reason. As tears blur her vision, Claire makes a quiet promise to herself. She does not know how. She does not know when. But she refuses to believe this is the final word. Because if Julia's grave truly represents destiny, then Claire is standing at the edge of the greatest test of her life. Whether she will finally accept fate, or challenge it one last time. Because when Claire finally tells Jamie about the grave, the weight of the moment does not lessen. It only shifts. And in that quiet exchange between them, love is tested in ways no battle ever could. Jamie listens without interrupting. He does not rush to comfort her or offer easy answers. He watches her face, hears the tremble in her voice, and understands immediately that this is not just another strange twist of time. This is something that has reached deep into Claire's heart. When she says Julia's name, Jamie feels it too. Even though he does not fully understand how the future works, he understands loss. And he understands when fate is closing in, his first instinct is protection. It always has been. Jamie wants to shield Claire from the burden of knowing too much, from carrying a future that should not yet exist. But this time, he knows he cannot fight what she has already seen. The grave is not an enemy he can draw a sword against. It is an idea, a truth, and that makes it far more dangerous. Jamie's silence says more than words ever could. There is fear in his eyes, not of death, but of helplessness. He has faced armies, prisons, and pain without breaking. But the thought that time itself may harm Claire shakes him in a way nothing else can. He wonders if loving her has placed her in constant danger, pulling her deeper into paths no one should walk. Claire feels this shift immediately. She knows Jamie well enough to sense when he is holding something back. And for a brief moment, doubt creeps in. Has Jamie already seen signs she has missed? Does he fear that the grave is connected to her in ways she cannot yet see? The space between them fills with unspoken questions, heavy and fragile. Jamie finally speaks. Not with certainty, but with honesty. He tells her that no matter what the grave means, she will not face it alone. But there is a quiet truth beneath his words. He does not know how to protect her from time. And that terrifies him. Loving Claire has always meant accepting the unknown, but this unknown feels colder, closer, and more personal. This moment changes their bond. Not because it weakens it, but because it exposes its limits. Jamie cannot lead Claire away from this path, and Claire cannot stop herself from walking it. They stand together, united by love, yet divided by the weight of what only Claire can see. And that may be the hardest test their marriage has ever faced. As night falls, the grave remains between them even though they are far from it. It becomes a silent third presence in their relationship. reminding them that time does not only shape history, it shapes hearts. And Jamie knows one thing for certain: if fate is coming for Claire, he will stand in its way. Even if he does not yet know how, because in Outlander, graves are never just graves. They are messages. And Julia's grave may be the loudest message time has ever sent to Claire. As Claire reflects on what she has seen, she begins to recognize a pattern she once hoped was only coincidence. Time has warned her before, not with words, but with signs left behind. Names in books, dates that should not exist, deaths written too early. Julia's grave fits perfectly into that cruel pattern. It is history speaking in the only language it knows: permanence. Graves in Outlander are not about endings. They are about consequences. They mark where a path led, not where it began. Claire understands this deeply. Every grave she has encountered across centuries carries the weight of choices made long before she arrived. But this one feels different. This one feels personal. It is not just marking a life lost. It is marking a mistake that time refuses to forget. The idea that the past can warn the future challenges everything Claire believes about destiny. If time truly wanted events to unfold without interference, why leave clues behind? Why allow her to find a grave that breaks her heart and clouds her mind with doubt? The answer frightens her. Maybe time does not care if it is changed. Maybe it only cares that the cost is paid. Julia's grave may not be a fixed ending. It may be a crossroads. A point where Claire must decide whether to act or stay silent. And that choice is dangerous in either direction. If she tries to prevent Julia's fate, she risks causing something worse. If she does nothing, she becomes a witness to a tragedy she might have stopped. Time has placed her in a trap where both paths demand sacrifice. The warning is not just about Julia. It is about Claire herself. It asks how far she is willing to go before she finally accepts that not all lives can be saved. That knowledge alone can destroy a healer's soul. Claire has spent her life fighting death, believing that every moment is worth saving. But time is asking her to choose which moments deserve that fight. There is also the chilling thought that the grave exists because Claire found it. That her awareness ensures its reality. The more she understands time, the more she fears its rules are not fixed, but reactive. That time responds to her presence like a living thing, adjusting, correcting, and sometimes punishing. As the meaning of the grave settles in, one truth becomes clear. Julia's grave is not meant to stop Claire. It is meant to test her, to see if she will still fight when the cost is unbearable, to see if love, fear, and hope are stronger than destiny itself. And as the season moves forward, this warning will not fade. It will follow Claire into every choice she makes, reminding her that the past is watching and it always remembers. Because the moment fans saw Julia's name carved in stone, theories exploded. And every theory leads to one chilling idea: this grave may not mean what it seems. One powerful theory suggests that Julia's grave is not a fixed point in time, but a fragile one. In Outlander, history often looks solid until Claire touches it. Dates change, paths shift, and lives once thought lost find new endings. Some fans believe Julia's grave exists because one version of the future already happened, not because it must happen again. That would mean Claire still has a chance to change everything, if she is willing to risk the unknown. Another theory takes a darker turn. What if the grave is not a warning but a trap? Some believe time itself is luring Claire into action, knowing that her interference often creates larger ripples. If Claire tries to save Julia, she could unknowingly cause another death, perhaps someone even closer to her heart. This theory paints the grave as bait, designed to test Claire's limits and push her into a choice she cannot undo. There is also growing speculation about who buried Julia. Fans question how someone knew where and when to place the grave. Was it a descendant? A witness from the future? Or someone who, like Claire, understands time too well? If the burial was intentional, then Julia's death may not be an accident or illness, but the result of a secret that has yet to be revealed. And that secret could shape the final arc of Season 8. Some theories suggest Julia may not truly die at all. The grave could be empty, a marker placed to protect her, to hide her from enemies, or to erase her from history. Outlander has always blurred the line between truth and belief, and a false grave would fit perfectly into that tradition. If this theory is true, then Julia's survival could come at a terrible cost, living erased, unseen, and alone. Another haunting idea is that Julia's fate is tied directly to Claire's final journey. That saving Julia might require Claire to give something up forever. Time travel, love, or even her place beside Jamie. The grave could be setting the stage for the most painful choice Claire has ever faced. Not who to save, but who she is willing to lose. As Season 8 moves forward, one thing is certain. Julia's grave is not a background detail. It is the heart of the mystery. It forces every character and every viewer to confront the same question Claire does: when the future is written in stone, do you accept it? Or do you dare to break it?